What is going on, my Atomic Cycle Works Garage friends? Here we are again with another seat. This one is a Saddlemen seat, and the customer had just purchased this, realized he made a mistake. He wants blue stitching on it to match his bike, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to show you how to repattern an existing seat using the existing cover, why it's easier just to make it from scratch, and that's pretty much it. We'll shoot the shit while we're doing it. So I already started taking some of the rivets out. Basically, I just threw a piece of cardboard down so any metal shavings go on this. As you know, I'm too lazy. I have to change this table and then use a different table for tearing down seats. I just haven't had the time to do it. So I got an 1/8 inch drill bit here, and we're just gonna pop the heads of the rivet out. Some of them go right through, some of them don't. You wanna make sure, I don't like to poke holes in seats. If the customer ever got angry and wanted the cover back, they could take it. Unfortunately, with this one, we're gonna be pulling apart anyway because we are just gonna be using it for a pattern. It'll save us a little bit of time. Everything's done. We have the rivets off the bottom here. I wanna get any of our metal shavings off. We don't want metal shavings, right? Metal shavings are not our friend. This one actually has a carpet on the bottom, so all the metal shavings wanna stick to it. So what we're gonna do is get this out of the way. Get our messy stuff out of the way. I actually use pliers just to grab the rivets, put it in reverse, and pull them off. So you could fill this whole 1/8 inch rivet up with, or the whole drill bit with rivet heads, and then remove them. I don't know why I'm having trouble doing this. There you go. Bada boom. Right? Done. Okay. Holy moly, I am in a really bad place today. You ever have those just stressful lives? That's what I'm living, stress all the time. Okay, let me throw this all in the garbage. And let's make sure that there's nothing on the table because we do not want to go backwards. If we have any metal shavings on the seat or the table, and we... So before I pull this cover off, I'm going through and I'm putting my marks on it, right? These are all alignment marks, so we know when we sew this panel to this panel, everything matches up. I also like to look at the seat, make sure it's symmetrical before you take it apart, because if it's not, you're gonna have a problem when you put it together. So this seat here is not symmetrical. It's supposed to be, but it's not. So if you look here, you have the diamonds coming here, which this does look centered, but then it hits these diamonds, which aren't sewn centered, right? So when you're doing diamonds, and you have a separate panel like that, it's very difficult to make anything line up, right? Sometimes I'll sew this together and I'll actually sew my diamonds up over it, which is a challenge. The one thing that's really important is to make sure that your center line is centered, right? So this one here, you can see it's definitely not centered. If you look here, this goes to here and this one's way off kilter. Fortunately, it's easier to see that wrong than it is to do it, right? Well, it's easier to do it wrong, and it's easy to see it, if that makes any sense. So what happens is, when you have a piece that's coming into a point like this, and you have a piece that's open, if you were to sew these together a little bit more, this piece here would be up a little bit higher, and it wouldn't be as obvious, but it's still, well, no, either way, it's off center. Because you can see, over here you have a little bit, and over here you don't have a little bit. You're right on the stitch here. So when you see me talking about diamonds, they're not that easy. They're easy, but not easy to do. So they're easy, but it's easy to make a mistake. So if you come through and you look at your diamonds and you see that this piece here is a 1/2 inch and this piece here is a 1/4 inch, I get really particular about that because we have customers who are very anal. Some people don't care, some people do care. Over the years, our customers always care, so I always pay attention to stuff like that. So I know that when we do our diamonds on here, we're gonna wanna tweak them a little bit so that they look a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna mark these panels, right? So this is the rear passenger, right? Rear passenger. This is the front of the seat, back of the seat, left, right. We're putting our marks in it so we know that when we line this up with this one to this one, it goes there. We're gonna do the same thing here. And this is very important. We run into this all the time. We actually just did a boat and the guys didn't mark it, right? It's as simple as marking cushion 1, seat 2, everything has a label, front, back, left, right, all that stuff. The more you do, the less chance you have of messing up. And when you don't, it just becomes a headache. It's a real pain in the toes. Putting our lines in here so we know where to go. I put our center points on here so we know that that's good. Now we can pull the cover off. Saddlemen's usually glued down, so I'm going to pull this off. You'll see exactly what we see. So this is a gel seat, this is some half-ass shit right there, to be honest with you. Might have been a Friday seat. So this is glued down here. All right, so this gel is in here. This gel has some serious gaps going on. That's really weird. And then, I don't know if this pan's, it's weird, it's riveted on, but you usually don't rivet plastic, you would staple it. This is a plastic pan, so we're probably just going to staple it back on. I don't know why. Is it, or is it fiberless? Oh, maybe it's just a weird plastic. It's kind of a weird plastic, very thick. So anyway, you saw me drill out the rivets, right? What I like to do is make sure that the little bullets come completely out. So if you look inside the seat there, I don't know if you can see that, we'll zoom in. There's these little guys here. These little heads, you don't want in there, because when you push your seat cover on there, these things could actually poke the seat. If it's a thin foam, when you sit on it, it's going to come through and poke the seat. So we want to make sure we go through and get all these little bullets out of here, which is a pain in the butt sometimes. One, I like to use, again, if you watch me, I love to use these regulators. All the stuff that we use, we try to put links on our website. So if you want to buy it, if you're doing this yourself, you can go to our website, follow those links, and buy the same stuff we do. Not exactly always from the same places, but it is the same stuff. We're close to it. So those are kind of nice. So actually, if you look here, right, if I push that through, well, watch, it ain't gonna work, so I'm trying to show you that. But anyways, when you push some of these through, you actually poke a hole in there. So you want to make sure that you get those out, because that's exactly what would happen to it. All these little guys we're going to go through and make sure they go out and go into the garbage, and that one doesn't want to go. Okay, so this is definitely looking like a Friday seat to me, because you can see the gels pushed back, it's off-centered here. I am confused. I've done a lot of Saddlemen seats. I haven't, and a lot of times they come with air pockets in there, but they're usually not messed up like this. This is just kind of sloppy and weird. So they must do this different. Like a lot of places, they actually put the gel into their foam mold, and then they spray the liquid gel in it, and then it forms around it and it fills it all in, which I guess this could have been the case, but I don't know why there wouldn't have been a gap there. So there's something weird here. We're gonna have to fix this foam before we give it back to the customer. So we're gonna move over to the seat cover now, because that's the main topic of this discussion, other than my pants keep falling down. It's funny, at breakfast I was talking to one of the girls there, and we were talking about how you used to be able to go in the stores all the time and pick out clothes, and now everybody wants you to buy stuff online, and it's like Russian roulette. So I bought these shorts last year, and I like the pair because they didn't fall down, short and fat, so they didn't hang down over your knees and look stupid. This year they happened to be doing that, so I ordered a bunch of them, and none of them are consistently the same, which is very irritating. I just want to mark the bottom here of this lip, because we're just going to duplicate this, and duplicate this. So now we can go through and we're gonna start taking the seat apart. I'm just using a razor blade. Some people use seam rippers. We always have razor blades laying around the shop, so I like to use those. Now I'm just gonna go around and cut all the stitching. You don't wanna hit the leather itself, even though we're not reusing it. We are using it as a pattern. As I'm taking this last piece apart, I wanted to talk about the industry and where I think it's going. Where is it going? It's very confusing, because I look at what we do, the custom part of it, and this is what I love and enjoy. I like doing different things, but there's so many custom shops getting out of business, going out of business now, custom seat guys that are just like tired. It's just, and I'm right there with you. The world has changed, because what happens is people used to buy like a motorcycle and keep it for a long time, customize it, cherish it. So when it came to doing a seat or some custom modification, it wasn't this like overnight thing where they have to get it done quick because they're going to buy another bike and just keep moving on to the next junk. You know, buy another junk, buy another junk, buy another junk. The newest, latest junk they make, they have to have. And it wasn't like that, but now it is. And so that means people want seats fast. So companies like Saddlemen and these guys who, and Mustang and Corbin and some of the guys who have like a seat program where you could call up and order it. I think you can kind of semi-customize these things. You know, they have a system, they have certain options that you could do. I think those guys are gonna be the ones that kind of stay around, because for the smaller guys like us, people don't understand the process of doing a seat and the prices and all the stuff you have to deal with. So when we do a seat, you have to talk to the customer, listen to what they want. That takes time, email back and forth. There's actually quite a bit of correspondence usually involved in doing a custom seat with someone. So say you have an hour, 2 hours into just correspondence and going over what they need. That's 2 hours, right? That's 2 hours that you have to get paid for. And then you have to actually do the seat, and they have to ship it to us and ship it back. Shipping is out of control. So on a seat, a basic seat, you could have, you know, $120 to $180 in shipping back and forth. So that adds a tremendous value right there. And then we got to do the seat. We got to buy the materials. Materials are expensive. All that stuff factors in. And then what we do takes time. We're not mass produced. We're not CNC cut out. We're cutting these out by hand, listening to you, doing what you want and what you need. So there's a lot more involved in it. So the prices kind of keep creeping up, and they're getting to a point where it's expensive. You know, to do a custom seat gets expensive, and a lot of people will see, well, I could go and buy a Saddleman for $500 or $600, or a Mustang for $800, or a Chinese CC Rider for $150 or whatever, and they ship it out and you have it and all that stuff. The problem is apples to apples, what we do is different. We're listening to you, we're dialing into you, and we're giving you something custom. So I think that what's going to end up happening is, for people like us are going to have to stick to more higher end stuff. People are going to pay a lot more for these seats because it's really hard to appease everybody. And the speed is difficult now, because with people not keeping their motorcycles for as long as they used to, they need it now. They want to throw it on, and then they're going to get rid of the bike, get a new bike. It's just a way faster pace. So I understand that aspect of it, but what I am curious to see is these seat companies that offer designs and do different things, they're not really in tune as much with the rider. Some of these guys are, they sponsor racing and stuff like that, but our big thing always was working with custom builders, people who build custom motorcycles, customize them, listen to their customers, and then that's what would kind of progress the industry. You know, we do something custom, a different design, a diamond or this or that, and someone will like it, and then they would tell a friend, and that's how it became popular. Or if you have a specific bike, like a BMW RR or whatever, and you're you know, certain height and it feels a certain way, we'd modify the seat in a certain specific manner based off of that customer, and that's kind of what drives the industry and the custom side and all that type of stuff. So once you lose that and you lose the custom shops, you're not going to have the influence of what's cool and what's not cool. It's just going to be the big companies kind of doing what they think, and we see what's happening. You know, in our other videos, I told you how, you know, we've dealt with manufacturers that actually watch what we do and steal our ideas to do that. And I get it, because everybody has like a writer's block, a creativity issue where you can't come up with the next thing. And so a lot of these people that are actually working for big seat manufacturers look out to a lot of the smaller guys and then try to copy them. So it's our job to try to do something different that they can't do, that makes the production harder to do. But they also eventually will figure it out, because that's their job, is to figure out a more productive way to give you a product at a better value. And we just have to keep progressing and moving on and doing different things. I'm curious to see where this business is going to go. I'm kind of sad to see I've seen a lot of seat shops closing down. I talked to a lot of people that are doing this that are getting out of it because the overhead, like, I don't know, maybe, you know, I know Tennessee, Alabama, all those areas are a lot cheaper to live and have a shop. Up here in the Northeast, I mean, if you've got to produce $60,000, $70,000 a month to have a business, and it's hard to do on seats. You know, you got to do a lot of seats, and then it becomes a rat race versus an enjoyable thing. So I see why everybody's closing down. And, you know, with us, you know, some challenges that we face, we go up and down. The hard part for me is this isn't something I'm doing just in and out. I've done this my whole life. I love this. So even when I get frustrated, we're still here to do it. But we did have our challenges. We hit some really heavy roadblocks over the years where you're like, you know what, how do you make money in an industry where your overhead's so high? Like, the Northeast is so expensive, California is so expensive, that it's difficult to, you know, make money in it, which takes the fun out of it. And you do not want to rush this stuff. You want to enjoy this and do cool shit. I thought maybe if we did more of our videos, that we get more YouTube views, and then that would offset the income of our seats, and it doesn't. You know, that's basically where, I think I told you before, I know you said in our videos that you don't really make anything off this YouTube stuff. It's just here to kind of show people what to do and get more people in the industry. Originally, we wanted to get people involved locally so that we could get people, hire people to do this, which is a very difficult challenge to do. Now I kind of feel more so that we need to get more people doing this at home, learning the trade, maybe having fun doing it, building your own stuff, so we can still see that creativity. Because I see a lot of guys in the West that they might have a job and they do this on the side. And they spend an infinite amount of time doing something, and they're coming out with some really creative stuff, really cool stuff, and it's inspiring to see them. Most of them, and we did the same thing. We built seats that were way too involved, where you can never make money doing them just because you love doing it. But when you actually have to be a business and make money, it becomes a challenge, because you can't spend 2 weeks on a motorcycle seat. If you spend 2 weeks on a motorcycle seat, it's $8,000-9,000. It's crazy to think that how expensive everything is here to do that. I am curious to see where we're at. So now with this, back to the seat at hand, we have all of our pieces pulled apart to pattern off of this original pattern. So this will be kind of nice because we don't have to go too crazy. We can literally just copy these patterns. I do want to try to do something different with this diamond stitch here. I am a little confused because we had a mishap with the paperwork on this seat. Talked to the owner, and let me grab this. Actually, I think I got it here. Diamonds in blue, correct? Do not have any idea what you're talking about, but the rest of the stuff. Okay, so my question was if we're doing single or double diamonds. I thought he wanted single diamonds. Doing single diamonds, diamonds in blue is correct. Okay, so we're just gonna do the exact same thing, but in blue diamonds. I know he liked this seat. Hopefully that's the thing. If I have to redo it, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're making money off the seat. We're just doing it for our videos to help you guys out. All right, so I have the patterns we cut out. We have the sew foam, and we have our material that we are using here. One thing I want to go over. So it's funny. I used to watch that show with Gordon Ramsay, the Kitchen Nightmares, or whatever. And he goes into a restaurant and they run through these stupid things where they say the restaurant's not doing good, so what are they going to do? They're going to give bigger portions of food, lower their prices, buy cheaper ingredients to kind of offset the price to try to stay in business. And he proves so many times that doing that is not right, because everybody who does it fails. But you see it even happening in the upholstery business. I saw it through COVID, but it's still happening now. People need to make the money they make, our suppliers. So what they do is they buy the cheaper stuff. And when you're buying the cheaper stuff, we know it. You're buying really cheap, soft sew foam. It makes our job harder to make something look better. So it's not really that great. I don't know what their savings is on the softer, crappier stuff versus the firmer, nicer stuff, or the reasoning. But for us, it makes our life a little harder. And I don't like it, because in the end, the quality of our work can be better if we use better materials. And that also brings us to one other thing, which is kind of funny, which I'm not going to beg and plead, but I reached out to a bunch of upholstery suppliers, right? And what's funny is when I talk to a lot of the upholstery suppliers, the wholesalers, they're like, it's really bad right now. They're not making, they're not doing the volume they need to do. They're not making the margins. The same thing that we go through. Our overhead's really high. Their employees are idiots. The materials are super expensive. Everybody's freaking about the tariffs, which is crazy because it's just another ploy for companies to raise their prices. So a lot of the tariffs didn't even go into effect. A lot of them already made deals with our government, and they're not charging. They're actually cheaper than it was, yet the companies are charging more money. So there's all these scare tactics that's going on in our industry. But what chaps my ass is a lot of our videos we get are for auto body and upholstery, right? So I reached out because if you know me, I don't want to be the guy who sends everything to Amazon. But if you look at what we have and you want what we have links that you could purchase it through Amazon. And then it shows up and you get your stuff, and it's affordable, it's quick, it's easy. I would rather work with our suppliers or people in our industry to help them grow, to help grow our industry, to make it better. So I reach out to a lot of suppliers, wholesale and retail, to see if there's something they want to do to have me refer to them versus to the big box stores, because obviously the manufacturers who manufacture the vinyl, the manufacturers who make the sew foam, make the space pens, all the stuff we do, they don't care if you order it from Amazon or you order it from a warehouse or a jobber or something like that, because they still make their money no matter what. I like the jobber network, the wholesaler, the manufacturer, all that, because at one point it used to be companies reaching out and educating people on new products and all that, and it was more of a community. Now it's way more, I mean, upholstery's always been a little bit, but it's more so now that you got to learn everything on your own. There's no handbook for where you buy what or why you buy what, and there's no real good salespeople. We have one company, matter of fact, we have one company, right, that has a salesperson that goes on the road. I see him probably 3 or 4 times a year, I believe. he's an old school salesman, and he comes in, he's good, he looks at your books, and unfortunately, he's not anymore able to update us on new products or update us on good stuff. Basically, every time he comes in, he's just taking product lines out. This is discontinued, this is discontinued, here's the cheap stuff, boom, out, right? And it's kind of, in our industry, it sucks because I want someone to come in and be like, this is better, this is some new stuff, this is some good stuff on the horizon, we have new materials, new colors, new this, new that. You want all that, and that's not really happening a lot in the industry. So I think they're going to rely, if your salespeople suck, you're going to need to rely on someone to promote your products and do what we're doing, showing new stuff, showing all that stuff. And we're here doing it, and they're not utilizing that. And I've heard a couple people say that, they don't know why more people don't utilize the influencer space on our industries, the automotive, upholstery, and all the stuff that we do, auto body. And it's totally true, because we have a lot of people who have independent reps where they go around and represent a multi-line of different products. And those guys, to me, it's archaic. Where you have a group of people that go around and try to go to shops that don't want to listen to you. All of our shops are getting bought up by huge companies, and they don't want to listen to these people. They just want to buy direct, which again cuts out the learning and the education part and the growing of our industry. When you have these big body shops, conglomerates that are buying up all the smaller body shops, now they just buy direct from everybody. They buy what they need, and that's it. So there's no people coming in and really saying, these are the new products, these are the new things, and and growing the industry. And I think we need that. If a lot of companies don't step onto the influencer market and let places like us that are actually trying really hard to promote our industry and grow it, there's not really going to be a lot of avenues for that. And I do understand a lot of companies don't want to team up with people because some of our bigger companies, they're afraid that, the huge companies are afraid that if their salespeople say something wrong or do something wrong, it's out there on the internet forever, and it can make their company look bad. Everybody's scared to do anything these days. But anyways, I did reach out to a lot of these places because I would love for you to be able to deal with more of the mom and pop places, or even the decent companies that have been in our industry for a long time. So if you are a company, reach out to us. We would like to network with you. And if you're a consumer, right now, most of the stuff that we're sending you is going to be Amazon. It's a shame, but they're willing to do it and help us out. So here we are, rambling again, and I'm going to go through, roll this material out. This here is a material I really like. I've used this material. Actually, it's funny because if you watch our car channel, we have a video coming up where we did a car in this material. I want to say 20, 25, 22 years ago. Around then we did and it's still downstairs and it looks just as beautiful. Actually, maybe on the end of this video I will show you that, so you can see the material that old that still looks that nice. So I still like this one. Motorcycle seats, it's a little difficult because if you don't take care of it and you ride it a lot of these flatter vinyls that look good when they're flat, they'll polish up and they'll get a shine to them, which isn't that great. But these ones even do too. So I actually like Saddlemen. I don't mean that when I'm talking about the stitching being crooked and stuff like that, or the gel, I don't want to sound negative about Saddlemen seats, because as far as I'm concerned, they're one of the better seats out there. They're more innovative than the other companies where they're coming out with cool stuff. They're also trying to stay more in tune with the industry. They get into the racing with the bagger racing, all that stuff. So please don't take it as we're criticizing, and we also know that shit happens. I do like the materials that they use. They have a nice look to them, very consistent, but you can see they start to get a little bit of a shine to them, just like everything else. What I'm going to do right now is stop rambling, start working. I just had a space pen and I lost it. Hold on. All right, so here's our space pen. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bada bada, right? We're gonna go through and we're just gonna pattern these things out. We're gonna fold them in half, see if they're symmetrical. The reason I'm doing this is a lot of times, which these are very symmetrical, a lot of times, even though the patterns come out symmetrical, when they put them on, you might need to trim the salvage off a little bit here and there. And a lot of people don't consider that, and then they go through and pattern it, and it's messed up. So let's go through here. I'm just going to mark this right around. And again, these space pens, all this stuff that we use, we have links in the description of where to get it. And I am going to be reaching out to a few companies for vinyls and foams, trying to get people to purchase them, or that could sell them on a retail level to our customers. If they don't, we are going to be offering kits. We're going to put together kits where you could buy enough material to do motorcycle seats. You could buy foam, any of the stuff we use, and we'll put together a little bit package for you. I don't want to because I want to do this and I don't want to be a store. But we have so many people that are constantly asking about this. See, I was talking and I slid that pattern over a little bit. We like every day, where do you get foam from? How do you get this foam? Where do you do this? Where do you do that? To the point where these companies that aren't utilizing it, it's just kind of irritating. So if we can't network with somebody and help them to sell their products, then we will offer it at some point. And I'm hoping we don't have to, because I really do not want to do that. I don't want to have a sales company, because there's different challenges people face in business with sales. You need people here, you need to monitor them, you have to have an inventory, you got to monitor your inventory. There's so much involved, and I appreciate the people who do that, because that's a totally different business. But if they're not going to utilize us, we can't utilize. And I am going to make sure it's symmetrical, very symmetrical. Kudos to Saddlemen for that. I do need a ruler because I want to check one thing out. So I want to look and see. So Saddlemen's salvage is a half, 7/16 it looks like. And this is 3/8. So the same, so we use 3/8, so it looks like it's a 3/8. 3/8. So we're going to go through here. And what I'm going to do is, since I know this is symmetrical, I'm going to make our 3/8 of an inch salvage around the edge of their seat. So you could actually take and unfold this, cut their stitches out completely, and do this type of deal here. I'm just lazy, and I've done thousands and thousands of motorcycle seats. So I know what 3/8 of an inch looks like. This side laid out flat. I'm going to put all of our marks in here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2. Put that guy over there. This one over here. We're going to slice that material there. Bada boom, right? And then we're going to follow this. Almost lost my 3/8 of an inch, but I do want to see where my center point is, which they mark, yes. So they marked their center point there, beautiful. And what's funny is our line was close to the center from a guess, but not exactly. Bada boom, bada bang. So we're going to put this, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just doing this one rough, because I want to make it symmetrical. So I'm going to take and cut this and flip it. Let's try that. Cut it and flip it. Cut it and flip it. Oop. Forgot to always make sure you put your lines on the right side of the material, so they don't, you cut them off and you don't see them. And once you cut them off, they're gone forever. And I don't have my notcher, so we're just going to use a razor blade, because I keep on stepping away. There's this here. So this is the actual true center. So I'm just going to put the V at the center, their markings. My guess mark was about 1/8 of an inch off. We don't want to guess, we want it right. So now I'm just going to take this, flip this over, cut it in half. So we got half and half, right? Half and half. This is a little off, but this is probably me. I'm sure Saddlemen has a supercomputer that does this and keeps everything symmetrical. Perfect. Transfer these, bada boom, bada bang, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, right? That's right on the money. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I'm just going to cut these all out, and then we're going to move to the diamonds. See you at uno momento, señorita. Okay, so we're moving on to the diamonds, and I am going to try something different. I'm going to try to, well, not different, I've done it before. We're going to stitch, bada boom, stitch these together. You know what's funny? Actually, this is the wrong side, right? Did I mark this wrong? So what's funny is what Saddlemen did is they just took the same piece and cut it and then stitched it together. So like logically you might think it's going to line up, but it just doesn't line up that way, because you need to create this pattern bigger and this pattern bigger and have a seam allowance and then put them together. But no matter what, the sides aren't going to match up. So we're going to try to sew these together, and we're going to top stitch it when they're sewn together and just see what happens. See if we can make it look good. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, depending on the angles and all that stuff. But I kind of want to try it. Let's try it. So what we're going to do is I'm cutting this out bigger, even though we're sewing on 1/4 inch sew foam. And if you heard me before, when you sew diamonds onto 1/2 inch sew foam, it's thick, and every time you stitch it shrinks the material. So something like this in a double stitched vinyl on a 1/2 inch sew foam could shrink like 3/4 of an inch all the way around. It's amazing when you put the double diamonds in it, how much it shrinks. But we're using 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch and single stitch doesn't really move much at all. It might move a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch tops, but because we're doing double diamonds, I want to be careful. So I'm just going to make this bigger, and then we're going to put our pattern on it afterwards. Then we're actually going to do the pattern. How are we going to do this? This is going to be confusing because we have to have this together sewn to here to continue to pattern. So I think what we're going to end up doing is putting the 1/4 inch sew foam on this piece. We're going to make this shape, stitch those together. And I think I'll put the pattern on here, and then we'll try to continue it there. And this way you can see if it looks good or if it doesn't look good. Sometimes when you get diamond patterns, people will actually get to a weird spot and they'll do it different, just like something different to kind of throw you off so you don't see that. I've told you we're going to do things differently and try them and experiment so that you can see how it is on without you wasting your time. I'll waste my time because, hey, my time's not valuable. So let's do this. It is diamond time. So if you watch our videos, you'll see that we've used these templates quite a bit. Can you see that? Is that backwards for you? So people who help us out, I like to help them out. And people who do cool things, I like to push their cool things. So this is from leatherseats.com. They actually donated some of their templates and actually even some space pens. It's previous videos we did probably almost a year ago. And every time we use them, I like to give them a plug because they're a good company that has innovation, does really cool stuff, and seeing them grow and doing what they do and the professionalism of their company is impressive. So you should always check them out. And if you do check them out, make sure that you say, hey, Atomic Cycle Works Garage, Eddie Barrett said, you're a good company, we want to deal with you, just so they know that we are sticking up to our end of the bargain where we're promoting people who promote or help us. So this template here is almost spot on with the diamonds that were on with Saddlemen. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to line it up. What's cool about these templates is they have these little holes. And if you line the holes up on your center line, you are on point. And now we got to go through and mark out our diamonds. And even though this template's awesome, you still got to do it. What I recommend is if you start here, do these, go to the next one. Don't jump around. Just keep doing each row so you don't forget anything, because it does get overwhelming. If you start jumping around, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. So I just go right down the row. One thing with these is when you're using the space pens, you want to use just a cartridge because the actual full-length space pens will not fit well in here. So you see this is just a space pen cartridge, not the actual full pen itself. I used to like the pens because you get used to growing up using pens and pencils. But once you start using just the cartridges, it actually becomes second nature and it doesn't feel that weird in your hand. Let's see if I missed anything. Nice. So by sticking to the guns and just going all the way across, you got everything. So now you could go through and connect the dots if you want to make life easier. You could connect everything. But what this saves you is all the measuring involved. It saves so much time, and it's exact every time. There's no questioning if you have one line off. It's just a really nice thing. In the back of my mind, I am questioning how it's going to look if we sew these together. I'm very confused. So what I'm going to do, put our sew foam on it. We're going to cut the rounded edges and sew those two pieces together and see how it looks. And if I have to, I'm going to cut it off and do it differently. Okay, so now, let's see. Pattern, right? Bada bing, bada boom, bada bum. This is the edge that we want to get rid of here. So what I am going to do is center, right? Make sure that we look pretty good here. And we're going to do this. Bada boom, right across here, and bada boom, right across here. Don't like that, a little mess up there. So I want to make sure that this goes just underneath this one, and this goes just underneath this one. So when you're doing these, this is what's important. You want to make sure here to here, actually we'll start from the center here, right? So here to here is it's just about 1.5 inches, and that is here to here. And this one goes right through. So that's good, a little bit low. And then this one here is a little bit low too. Okay. So making sure your distances are even are very, very critical. 1 1/16, and that is there. This is the last one here, which would be this guy here, which is way the hell off. This should be 1 1/16 right there, right? 1 1/16 right there. Why is that so far off? So that, oh, this is actually supposed to be right here. Right under there. So let's get rid of this guy here because that's way off. Okay, so this we're going to trim. Trim. Okay, trim. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Put our center point in here. And then we're going to do the same thing to this back piece here. So this is the back piece. Which now that we're doing, well, actually we'll see. We might be redoing this, but we'll know in a little bit. Okay, we're going to trim this. Okay. So we need sew foam for this piece, and we also need sew foam for this back piece. So let's get this sew foam out. And I am going to glue this sew foam. I don't want anything to move or wrinkle. Motorcycle seats, a lot of times when you don't glue the sew foam on, it'll actually pucker up when you push it. Like you push it like that, you get some weird wrinkles, and we don't want any weird wrinkles. Man, I hate this soft sew foam. Bada boom. So this one is good in the hood, and then we just need this one here. Okay, I'm gonna go glue these on. I'll be right back. After these messages, I'll be right back. All right, so what I am doing now is I'm just making sure my diamonds, you know, from tip to top, all measured exactly the same. I'm taking this piece here. So I took their pattern that they had, and I tried to center it. And what I noticed is if I center it here, this one comes out to here, that one comes out to here, right? But then when I measure from my center point out, so this side here comes to about 6 9/16, and then this side here comes out to 6 7/8. So I actually want this to be symmetrical. So we're going to do 6. Probably should balance it. So 6 9/16 for 6 7/8. So we'll do. I'm just going to do 6 5/8, right? Get rid of everything else. Okay, so I put a little mark here. So this is where we're going to want our pattern to end afterwards when we trim it. So this way, now when I put this, let me check before I talk. So if I put this here, this ends right here, which is 3/8 from there. I center that. That ends 1 2 3/8 from there. Okay. According to my V's, everything's centered, everything's good. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to sew this to this and come back. So I'm up close and personal here. So I sewed this. I want to show you how particular it is. I sewed this like maybe a 1/16 of an inch off. So if you look at here, right, this one here, the point stops just there, and it's just barely starting to go into the next diamond. Now if you look here, tip starts there, and you have at least 1/8 of an inch of a diamond there. So I'm going to sew this a little bit tighter just to clean that up. Now I want to continue this up here, right? So this is a challenge. This is why you would never do this in a production, you know, aspect, because it's really tough to do, and you wouldn't be able to do this in, you know, productively. So I'm going to lay this down and see, just for the hee-haws, if we're to pretend we're to put this here and line this up the way it goes. So everything lines up, right? Except for that. Now if we were to continue this, let's see what happens. holding the center point down right now because I don't want it to move. Because when you sew two pieces together, sometimes you will get your center line can waddle off a little bit, and I don't want that. So I almost got carried away and started jumping around instead of just going all the way across this. So one of the challenges with this gap here is getting the space pen through here, because it has to go down so low, and even the refill feels a little too thick. So now I got all the way across there. Now we're gonna start coming across here. One of the challenges we're gonna face is making sure the outer perimeter of this is actually lined up properly. Okay, let's see what we missed. According to this, we didn't really miss a lot, right? This one right there. So now you can see our lines goes through here, and when we put our other pattern here, this will be the challenge. We want to make sure that this lines up and this all looks good. So let me get these. I missed two. I missed one up there too, but let's see. So I'm gonna go by, I'm not gonna line these up with the bottom. I'm only worried about the top half here because this is gonna be a weird angle of the dangle. We're gonna sew this all up and then we're gonna pattern off it. This doesn't jive too well here. So I am gonna tweak that. I want that to line up perfectly, right? I want it to line up perfectly. And if we're good, what this is gonna do is have a continuous line across there. So if you wanted to do this in a production standpoint, you could technically do what we're doing here. Dismantle this seat and then pattern off of it and make your diamonds so that it actually flows together perfectly. But every sewer that sews this will have to make sure they sew that so perfect that it'll be a challenge. And then sometimes when you make things too perfect, if you mess up, it shows up a lot. So you're almost better off intentionally making the seat look like it's supposed to not be that way. So with their diamonds not lining up, it looks like it's supposed to be that way, and a lot of people are fine with that because you just deal with it. All right, there we have it. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bada bum. So let's go sew this up. Okay, so here we go. Luckily, the Armand Serafil, if I said that right, their thread has some really cool colors. We went over a bunch of colors with the customer. What we do sometimes is we'll do a stitch out. They could take it, match it up to the bike or car, and then pick their color. He chose this one, which is 1078, which is one of my favorites because it's a nice blue. And normally a blue like this doesn't stand out, but this thread is just amazing. So I'm just gonna start off there. You know, I hold my thread because you don't want it to lock off on the heavy duty machines. If you don't hold your thread, it'll actually pull down in it, tie a knot, and then you're in trouble. So we're gonna come over and I'm just gonna pick this here. I'm gonna start here. I'm actually winding a bobbin as we go. I'm also using the same, well, it's a little bit thinner, but pretty close to the same size thread in black for the lower for the bobbin. I like to wind our bobbin. I like to use the thread close to the same size, even though it's a pain in the tail because when you use them the same size, they use a heavier, thicker thread. They don't, they go really fast. And that's the kind of downfall. So I'm just going through here. I'm taking my line. I'm taking our walking foot. And I'm just actually going right next to the line that we want on the outside of the line. And then we're gonna come on this side. And if you go slow and steady, you will have a nice even line. Gotta be careful because the salvage has a tendency to want to roll under when you're coming backwards across the seam. So I want to make sure that this is nice and tight. You can, if you want to, go through and do an actual top stitch on this, which sometimes I do. I probably should have on this one, and I actually just messed up a little bit. I'm gonna have to carry this over, and I'm gonna have to pay attention because my lines did not line up well on that one. So as you can see, doing a single needle machine to do double stitch takes quite some time. Let me just make sure that this is all going in the right direction. Better to be safe as making sure my salvage is laid backwards and flat. I'm going straight across the seam. Okay, let's see. We got 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2. Two, 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 two. Okay, looks like we didn't miss anything. So if you look at this, you could see why I love their thread. Look how electric that is. It's just, it looks like it's like you literally lit it up. So that was a lot of extra work just to go for that little bit of consistency. So a lot of people would never do that. A lot of 99% of you guys would never even notice it, but we went through a little bit extra. So now we're gonna go through and put the patterns on. Okay, so now we need to transfer this one to this one. So we know that this is the center here. We know that that's the center here. And that goes right there, that goes right here. So what we want to do is, I'm going to mark this. There's our mark, which is, well, this is comes down right on that one, and this one comes out right on this one. Okay. Okay. So now we have that mark there, so we have to go through and do the fun part, which is make sure everything lands where it's supposed to. So we know that this is here, that goes across here, this goes through the middle here, through the middle here, and then it goes just under here, right? Just under here into that, so there's a little widow's peak there. Then we're gonna go down here. This consistently stays. Okay, so now we gotta do the bottom, right? Bada boom. Okay, so centered. Actually, hold on. Center is there. Ooh, that just scared the crap out of me. I thought I made the pattern too small. Whew, that would have sucked. So it actually shrunk. Let me just make sure. So that's the stitch mark there. Yep. It actually shrunk more than I thought it would. And almost, very close, almost ruined it for us. Right down to the last drop. Man, that doesn't look too hot. We're gonna have to, I know we're gonna do some correcting here. Oh wait, is this backwards? That might help. That might explain it. Let's try that again, dummy. Okay, center, center. Okay, that's a little bit better. Although this doesn't line up too good here. So this is gonna, oh, okay, it does. All right, so now we have to make sure that left and right are the same. Okay, so this is, all right, so I just went through and sewed it in white thread. This way it helps me to really show across there so I can make sure that the gaps are the same on each side. And now when we go to trim it, it's gonna be a lot easier to trim. Also by sewing with a finer thread, it kind of locks off all of the edges that I'm about to cut off so they hopefully they don't unravel on us. And then here we are. Let's make this garbage. I'm gonna test fit it and see how it looks. All right, and just like that, bada boom, it's done. I did jump over, I apologize. So I have been asked a million times over the last 20 some odd years, have you ever sewn through your finger with a machine? And I've, up until this seat, no, I have never done it. I don't know what I was thinking. I would actually put my finger in between the needle and the walking foot and accidentally hit the pet thing, and it went through. Boo-hoo, life goes on. Anyway, here's the seat. So this was a Saddlemen seat. You saw step by step, going through it, designing the cover, sewing it up, stitching it. I didn't want to make the video too long. If you like and you want to see us putting a seat cover on or doing some of these back stitches, watch some of our other videos. And actually, wait. You might want to subscribe to our channel and see our next video. What are we doing with this seat? This is next. And then after that, what are we going to do to this seat? This is a big king and queen style seat, an old school one. We have done seats for this guy for a lot of years. He builds a lot of bikes every year and keeps them. This one here is the newest to his collection. So make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, ring a bell, come back for more, and see these seats next.